Hi guys, welcome to my YouTube channel. My name is Onyeche, and on today's video I'll be showing you how to draft a basic body pattern for beginners. Okay, so if this is something you like to learn, please stay tuned and don't forget to subscribe. Please don't forget to subscribe. All right, let's get into it. So right now I have a measuring tape, marker, ruler and French curve for making hip curves and other curves. Okay, and I also have a paper. This paper is serving as the material I'll be using, that is the fabric I'll be using. So first of all, make sure your material is unfolded. Okay, you fold it into two, and I'm drawing a straight line. This serves as a guide, okay, in placing my measurement so I don't make any mistake. Okay, it help me place my measurement accurately. So next, you take your neck measurement. We'll be using the basic neck measurement, that is 3 by 3. This is a normal neck measurement, okay, for round neck. 3 by 3, 3 inches wide and 3 inches in depth, okay. So when taking your measurement, make sure you take it at exactly the point where the tape starts from, okay, because going after, you add more inches to the measurement, okay. So make sure you take it at exactly where the tape is starting from. So next, you draw a line that joins both measurements together, okay. Draw a straight line joining both measurements together, and after that you make a curve, okay. You use your curve rule to make a curve. So this way we're gotten the neckline, okay. My shoulder measurement is 7. That's 14 divided by 2. If you remember, our paper is on fold, so when you measure your shoulder, whatever you get, you divide it by 2, then you place and mark, okay. Now our shoulders are not straight, it's in a slanted form. So from that 7 or whatever you have, you go down by 1 inch. After going down by 1 inch, then you draw a straight line that connects the part you marked 1 inch to the neckline, okay. So after drawing that, from that point you measure your armhole. Now your armhole is your bust measurement divided by 6 plus 1.5, okay. So my bust measurement divided by 6, I got 6. 6 plus 1.5 is 7.5, okay. So whatever you have, you place your tape and find the midpoint. For me, the midpoint is 3.75. After getting the midpoint, you go in by 0.5 inch, okay. So after going in by 0.5, you make a curve connecting all the dots. But before you make this curve, you have to connect it with your bust measurement, okay. So what you do, you measure your bust measurement. Whatever you get, divide by 4, then you mark. You connect all the dots together, okay. After marking, you connect all the dots together from your shoulder slant. You make sure you pass through where you marked the midpoint of your armhole, going in by 0.5 to your bust line, okay. So now take our vertical measurement. Make sure you start from the straight line, okay. So you take your bust point is 10 inch, your waistline or your half length, which is 16. Then from the half length to the hip is usually 8 or 9 inches, okay. Depend on what you want. I used 8 inches because I'm not so tall, but you can use 9 inches if you are comfortable with it. So after that, we'll draw a straight line passing through the dots, okay. So with that, we've gotten the bust point, the waistline and our hip. So from that, we take our darts, okay. Now your darts is usually taken from your nipple to nipple measurement. That is, you place the tape on your nipple to nipple, you measure whatever you have. For me, I got 8, okay. So you divide by 2 because our paper is on fold. So when you divide by 2, 4. So you make sure you mark 4 through all the lines, okay. From your bust line to your hip, you mark 4 and draw a straight line connecting all the dots, okay. So from the waistline, that's from the half cut, that's where we'll mark our darts. Our darts, the dart will be taken will be 1 inch, okay. So now when you divide 1 inch into 2, we have 0.5. So on both sides of the line, you take 0.5. You mark 0.5 on the left side of the line, you mark 0.5 on the right side of the line. So from your bust point, okay, measure 12 inches down, 12 inches down. This is where you stop the dart, okay, where you stop the taking the dart. So when you measure 12 inches down, you connect all, you connect the lines from your bust point passing through your waistline, then you stop at the 12-inch, okay. So after that, you use your curve rule to make it smooth. This is because when you're taking your dart, you don't really go in sharp, you have to make it curve, okay, so that it will come out smoothly. So you use your curve rule and curve out and curve the dart, okay. Use your curve rule and curve the dart. So after curving the dart, we'll take our horizontal measurement, okay. Now for the horizontal measurement, we've already taken our bust, which is, I've already marked my bust. For the horizontal measurement, I've already marked my bust. So the next we'll go to the waistline, okay, which is the half length. My waistline is 28 into 4 is 7. Now you know we took out 1 inch, okay, for our dart. So 7, you make sure you add 1 inch that was taken away as that. So 7 plus that 1 inch is 8, okay. So you mark 8. Whatever you have as your waist measurement, okay, make sure you divide it by 4. Then you add 1 inch which you took as that, okay. Then for our hip measurement, my hip is 40. So 40 divided by 4, I have 10, okay. 40 divided by 4 is 10, so I'll mark 10. For the hip, we're not adding anything because our darts didn't get to the hip, so we're not adding any additional measurement for that, okay. So after marking it, I already have the bust measurement from the armhole. So after marking it, I'll connect from the bust to the waistline measurement, and from the waistline measurement, I'll connect to my hip measurement, okay. So after connecting to my hip measurement, next we're going to take the side darts, okay. Now your side dart is usually taken 3 inches from your waistline, above your waistline, 3 inches above your waistline. So whatever you have as your waistline, as your half length, you take 3 inches above it, okay. Now after taking 3 inches, you add 1 inch addition for the dart, okay. Since our dart is 1 inch, from the 3 inch you add 1 inch. So adding 1 inch, in between 1 inch you find the midpoint, okay. In between 1 inch, the 1 inch you took, you find the midpoint. Then after finding the midpoint, you connect it to the bust point. Now before you connect to the bust point, measure 1 inch out, 1 inch out of the bust point, okay. Measure 1 inch from the bust point outward. So when you measure 1 inch, you draw a straight line from the midpoint to the bust point. Then the other two sides, that's the 0.5 of the dart, you connect them and stop them at the point where you marked 1 inch, okay. So after doing that, the left side of the dart should be longer, okay, than the right side of the dart. This is because we'll connect the left side to the bust line, okay. When you connect the left side to the bust line and you fold in the material, that is, you take the dart, it will blend in, okay. It will blend to the marking of the waistline. So after that, you curve in the measurement, you make sure you curve your waistline. This is because when sewing, you don't sew in straight, okay. You have to sew in a curve form, okay, so that it will come out perfectly, the shape will come out perfectly. So after that, on the hip side, we'll go in by 1 inch, okay. Normally when you're making a blouse, when you're making a top, don't just leave it straight. You make sure at the edge is usually curved, so we'll go in by 1 inch. So when we go in by 1 inch, we'll make a curve from the hip, from the 1 inch to the dart line, okay. So this is the front part, okay. You cut it out and place it on your fabric. When cutting it on your fabric, make sure you leave some inches by the sides, okay. They will serve as the sewing allowance, because when taking the measurement, if you notice, I didn't put in any sewing allowance. So when you're cutting it on your main fabric, please leave some parts, okay, that will serve as the sewing allowance. Then after that, for the back, in order to make it more easier for you, I'll suggest you just follow the straight line. That's the bust line, the waistline, and the hip line, okay. Just follow them straight, draw a straight line forward, okay. This will be more easier for you to take your measurement. Please, I apologize. When taking the back measurement from the beginning, I didn't know my camera wasn't focused, so I apologize for that.
So for the straight line I drew passing through the bust point, the half length, the bust line, okay? Now that straight line, in front of the straight line is a zip allowance, okay? When you're sewing at the back, make sure you leave zip allowance, okay? Now there's supposed to be a zip allowance here, so make sure you leave a zip allowance. It depends, it can be 1 inch, 1.5 inch, okay? For the neck, you go in by 1 inch or 1.5. Then the wideness of the neck is 3 inch, just like the front part, okay? Then for the dart is 4 inch, just like the front part. You know, when we took our dart measurement, it will measure our nipple to nipple measurement, which was 8 divided by 2, 4. So the back dart is also going to be the same thing. You measure 4. Then you also measure the 12 inch, like I said, stopping at the 12 inch. Then you connect, okay? You connect all the dart, okay? Then for the shoulder, you know our shoulder is not straight, so we'll go down by 1 inch, just like what we did at the front, okay? Then we'll slant in. We'll take our armhole, which was your bust measurement divided by 6 plus 1.5. You draw a straight line down to the bust line. You draw a straight line connecting from the shoulder slant to the bust line. Then for your armhole, you find the midpoint. Whatever you have as your armhole, you find the midpoint, you're going by 0.5, then you make a curve passing through the shoulder slant, the point which you mark 0.5, then down to your bust line, okay? So all the measurement at the back are exactly what we had at the front. The only difference is at the back we don't have bust point, okay? And the neck depth is 1 or 1.5, and there's a zipper allowance. That's just the difference, okay, from the back and the front. But every measurement at the back are just repetition of what we did at the front, except the back, no side dart, no bust point, and there's a zipper allowance, okay? So thank you for watching. Please don't forget to subscribe, okay, for more interesting videos, okay? Thank you.